Nothing in this podcast is intended as investment advice, and the people in this podcast may hold positions in the stocks they talk about. Do not buy any investment based solely on a tip or recommendation. Please do your own research.
Hello and welcome to the Midweek Takeaway. We're joined by Robin Brundle, Chairman of Technology Minerals. Welcome back, Robin. How are you?
Yes, good morning, Phil. Very well, thank you. And you?
Yeah, excellent. Thanks.
Good.
So today we saw the news that Recyclers has received the environmental permit at the Tipton recycling site. Do you want to talk us through how significant this news is for Tech Minerals, please?
Absolutely. So it's a critical pathway for us. The permit has been long awaited, as many of our followers will know. And frankly, it gives our piece of land and us title to that piece of land the authority to recycle hazardous waste there, as in the form of lead acid batteries. It gives us the license to have 300 tons of material on site, or up to 300 tons of material on site at any one time. And, that's really important to us to get those levels of throughput, because the plant, when it's fully operational, is producing and recycling around 12 tons of batteries per hour. So you can see that the throughput and turnover through the site is going to be pretty rapid, even at 300-ton level.
Presumably, the EA permit is one of a few, or the first of a few to obtain before commencing operations. Is it safe to assume that the sub-licenses referenced will be more straightforward to obtain and potentially take less time?
Yeah, very much so. That's a very good assumption. As soon as we've got this master permit, as we said, it's the critical pathway. But of course, we still need these sub-licenses to be able to move the materials off site so that we don't get stymied on site, because within a day and a half to 2 days, we will soon use up that 300-ton level. So it's very important that we have an export license. It's very important that we have the Battery Association license as well. But as you say, it's there as a cookie cutter, really, of the information that we have in the main permit. And it's an all online situation that makes the process a lot quicker, because the sensitivities have all been checked and signed off in the master permit. And of course, it does also enable us then, from an operational point of view, until we've had this permit number, we haven't been able to trigger the full health and safety executive, for example. So with hazardous waste, again, your followers will know that, we have to have staff welfare and want staff welfare, of course. And, to bring the health and safety executive in, even to get things like the lead levels in the blood of each of the employees tested and so on, can only now be triggered as a result of getting this license. So it's all sitting there in the background. And that was validated also. We announced in the same announcement that, we've also got stage 1 accreditation for the ISO, the three ISO 9001, 14,001 and 45,001, which means that the auditors have been and looked at our processes prior to going operational. And again, you may know that you can't get full accreditation for ISO until you are physically operational. So we've done as much as we possibly can in the background in this waiting period, so that now it is literally a case of pressing the button. So the moment the plants actually get switched on in 2-3 weeks' time, we're in a position then where we've had everything certified in the background, and then the ISO auditor can come in and actually see that we're living to the processes that we've had audited. So yes, it's all sitting there and just literally waiting for that green light.
So on that premise then, that things are being ramped up, how long do you see it being before you're revenue generative?
We believe that it will be during June, with receipts then coming in July.
So one of the things I noticed in the RNS was the strategy to open 10 plants over the next 6 years. Do you think upon hitting this and using the first mover advantage, just hitting that strategy, do you see this company valued at potentially into the hundreds of millions?
Within the 10 plant process, yes, I do, because the revenue streams from having both the lithium ion and the lead acid plants running, because the strategy that you mentioned has got 5 of each sciences of different types of the batteries. And yes, it will have that type of level of multiplier attached to it.
Congratulations, I would say, is in order here, because it's a big deal, obviously, to get this initial okay from the environment.
It is, Kevin. Thank you. And we're absolutely delighted. And, we are dealing with hazardous waste. And we do know that the Environmental Agency have openly said to the world that, they've been struggling on staff numbers. They were particularly badly hit by COVID. And, you have to have some sympathy for their workforce that's been struggling under massive demand and a massive reduction in staff as well. So, whilst it has genuinely frustrated our business, we do have a lot of sympathy with their particular situation, because at the end of the day, the processes are assessed by human beings, and every human being has a capacity each day, don't they? So we have sympathy with that, but we are relieved to have got this now. It's been long awaited, and of course, our lithium-ion plant was registered into the process very shortly afterwards. So we hope to be able to come back to you with some more news on that during the next perhaps a couple of weeks or so as well.
For those who haven't listened to our previous podcast with yourself, when we talked about the different things that come out of these plants, I mean, just tell everybody what actually comes out of the plant when the battery is processed.
Well, with particular reference to Tipton, Tipton is our lead acid recycling plant. So by default, what we're doing is taking a 100-odd-year-old history industry, and we're industrializing the process to be able to separate the acid from the battery, then from the plastics, and to end up with a lead product. And the lead product that comes out is then sold as a percentage against the London Metals Exchange, effectively. And it's sold depending on the quality of the lead that we get, because batteries have got varying qualities of lead in them. So depending on that particular batch, we tend to get sort of 72 to 75% of the spot price on the LME on that day. So it's good revenue. It's very cash generative for us. Obviously we have costs as well. That's not all profit. But again, the cost of producing that particular material is sort of, in the late 30s, early 40s, let's say, percents of LME, depending on the price on the day. So, it is a cash generative business. That's what gives us the confidence to say that we're going to have one plant of each chemistry going forwards each year. So 2 plants a year, to be clear, one of each, for the next 5 years. And we're already, in discussions to get the locations for plants 3 and 4, and as it happens, possibly 5 and 6 as well.
So what sort of price is lead at the minute? Is it has it been doing well?
Yes, it has. It's been reasonably constant at around £2,100, £2,150 per tonne.
Okay, and what sort of tonnage can you expect on a monthly basis for this Tipton factory to produce on once you're in full production?
Yeah, sure. So obviously, like any business model, with our productivity and efficiencies, we're forecasting in the first 3 months or so that we're going to have a ramp up. But then when you get to first full year of productivity and utilization, we're looking at doing around 15 to 16,000 tons of batteries through one plant.
Okay, and how much lead is going to come out of that then?
The lead content that comes out of that is about 60 to 65%, depending again on type of battery, but around that sort of level. The rest is then plastics and acids. So
based on those numbers, I'm trying to do my maths quickly. You're talking about 10,000 tons of. I think you explained to me it was like a lead slurry almost. No, it's
a lead. Yeah, I'd try and upmark it a little bit if I can on that.
It's not a slurry.
We'd like to call it a lead paste, really.
Okay, a lead paste. So
we'll go with slurry.
You're talking about 10,000 tons of lead paste a year. Yeah, that's basically what each plant is hoping to achieve.
That's correct. Yeah,
and at the current rate, you're getting about maybe $1,500 or £1,500, is it, or dollars a ton?
Well, it's pounds. It's the LME is paid based on pounds, so we're getting about 72 to 75% of the £2,150 per ton is where we'll be at.
So 10,000.
We're expecting
£1,500.
That's it. We're expecting the plants to turn over around about 8 to 9 million pounds when they're fully running.
That's turnover, and then hopefully at least, as you said, 40-50% of that is going to be profit.
In late 30s, early 40s. Yeah.
Okay, very good. So it's going to be very, very, very cash generative then in that respect, yes, which is very interesting. Okay, and are we talking about similar financials for the lithium-ion batteries, or better even?
Yeah, for lithium-ion, the turnover is going to be very similar. The difference with the lithium-ion is that it has a slightly stronger business model again, in that we actually charge a gate fee to get the front-end feedstock, because that is an early-to-market proposition and a problem solver for many sectors, be it automotive, e-bike, handhelds, and so on. And because it's a problem solver, we actually get paid per ton coming through the front gate, whereas on the lead acid, we have to buy the feedstock because there's a lot of competition, and B, the people have realised that there's a value to the lead and want to have some of that value back, which is understandable. So the lithium ion is a very different business model in that it has front end value, and it also gets value for its black mass. The powder that comes out at the back end of it that's black in colour. That's got the 4 key salts in that then go off to be separated back into their metals to go back into the circular economy.
Very good. So as I've said, I think when we were speaking with Alex, this seems to me very much like a 2-for-1 company, because you've got these battery plants, which is obviously very green in the environment that we're looking at today, to make sure that the planet is protected and all of these things are renewed, if you like. And then secondly, you've also got actual looking for the metals themselves in these 6 different things, or 6 different mine options that you have. So can you explain why you did it that way? Why did the company decide?
Absolutely. Well, as has been explained, we are focused purely on battery metals, and that's with our junior mining and also in the recycling side. And probably the most direct way to answer that is that our knowledge transfer partners at Warwick University have given indication and forecasts that recycling, in the way in which we're doing it, and we're considered by them to be industry and world leading in what we're doing on the lithium ion side, is only going to be able to produce around 22% of the raw materials that are going to be required for the transition from combustion engines to electric vehicles. And the country here and the continent, the European continent, has really adopted this push for green and supporting the COP26 agenda. But of course, to follow up on that narrative, if recyclers like ours are only going to be able to produce 22%, the other 78% has got to come from somewhere. So it's then about making sure that we get those raw materials. And this is a critical pathway here for the UK, because it's important we try and find these raw materials without necessarily scarring the earth here, but perhaps revisiting old mines here in the UK to see whether we can actually get these battery metals, because it's much bigger commercially than anything we're doing, in that if we don't support the automotive sector here by giving them battery manufacturing capabilities, the automotive sector, as proven in history, in quite short order will actually go to areas where they can get battery metals and produce the products. And that will have a huge, if they do that and we lose automotive here in the UK, it will, it will be very detrimental to the eco-structure around employment and technology and taxation and all those good things. So what we're doing, we believe, is really important, in that we are identifying where we believe these minerals, these required minerals are. We do a certain amount of drilling to establish the quantity of them, but then we have to bring in a partner because we're not sufficiently well funded to do the hundreds of millions of pounds of investment that's required to actually go and extract the minerals. And at that point, we bring in a Rio Tinto or whoever. So for us, it's really important that the 22% that we're forecast to support, at least it's 22% that hasn't got to come out of the ground is the way we're looking at it. And it's interesting, the public that are feeding back to us are saying, actually, now we get it. If we want to be green, and one of those ways is by using, much greener transport and mobility, then we have got to get these raw materials. So most people are starting to understand that there has to be some extraction. And in our mind, it has to be ethical extraction as well.
I can see, Robin, that, this is obviously only my opinion, but there just isn't going to be enough of these battery metals, full stop. Maybe that's a harsh thing to say, but I just don't see where it's coming from. The miners are not going to come on tap or on stream quick enough to produce this much. And yes, it's going to be very good to recycle, but there isn't enough to recycle, even if you have that many plants that, you took it to 100 plants, if you like. I just don't see that there's going to be enough. So all that says to me is that all of these battery metals are going to be so much in demand in the future that the prices are going to escalate. They're going to have to. So obviously for your business model, both from a point of view of recycling and also from the junior miner aspect, is almost the perfect storm in terms of a company. I really do see it. It's like you couldn't be in a better position or a better space than this particular situation. So, I applaud you for having the hindsight, because obviously this has had to happen a number of years ago for you to come to this position now. And obviously you could see that storm was going. That's not a question, it's a statement, obviously.
Yes.
So
yes, absolutely right, Kevin. And you will have probably noted the Joe Biden statement about 6 weeks ago now, roughly, stating that these battery metals are now of critical national importance in the USA. And frankly, from what we're hearing, we believe that many of the European countries will also be making these types of statements imminently. And we also expect the British government before the year end to make a similar statement too. So you're right. Everybody has woken up to the fact it's a critical pathway. Asia, and in particular China, have been very smart in the way in which they've gone about it, because they've managed to capture around 80% of the global supply. So it will make China an even bigger powerhouse in the battery play. And that's why I think countries like America, and if you take our two assets, in America that are sitting right on the strike of the cobalt belt there, it's suddenly got huge focus on it, because the Idaho assets there are the only area that we can find in America that are deliberately mined just for cobalt, effectively. Cobalt can be a byproduct of other types of mining, but that's the one area on a cobalt belt in Idaho. It is right place, right time. We're very excited by what we're doing. You can tell our enthusiasm levels are high. A huge amount of work to do, but lots of opportunity as well.
So just to recap, what we're talking about then, from what you're saying, is first production should be in June time, and hopefully first revenues then in July from what you've received in July. Hopefully in the not too distant future, we should be talking about the lithium ion factory also having its environmental assessment complete. And many different options going on in the junior miners as well. Lots happening, and we look forward to speaking to you quite a lot, obviously, over the next few months.
So say what wind forwards, 6 months, a year, and the revenues are coming in, so that the cash position is being built up. Would there be potentially an option to extend your position in the 49% owned recyclers?
The way that the contract for TM1 is written is that TM1 has the ability to maintain its 49% stake and thus not be diluted. So I think that's about as far as I would comment at the current time.
Both factories are involved with recyclers then? It's both the lead and the lithium ion, yeah?
That's right, yeah. And for the UK as well. And, we are, as you can imagine, any company would be, we're getting approaches to look and see what Recyclers Europe, Recyclers USA and Recyclers Asia might look like too. So all of that good work is going on in the background, which, again, I'm not able to say any more about today, but should those events arise going forwards, then we'll come back and have a chat with you, of course.
Yeah, but from what I can see, UK alone, this could be hundreds of millions of pounds in value as a company, just because of the revenues that we're talking about. But your ability to maybe scale this up, Europe, Asia, US, is frighteningly big, no? Are you not a bit scared about that?
No, because we're smart enough to work out that we need strong partners if we were to do that. And so we've identified those strong partners to have discussions with. But again, as I say, they're probably, their chats we'll have a little bit further down the road. I can't really go into too much detail on that.
Well, once again, congratulations, Robin. Robin Brundle, Chairman of Technology Minerals. Thanks very much for your time.
Thanks, guys. Speak to you soon.
Thanks, Robin.
Bye-bye.
This podcast was brought to you by Roast PR Limited. If you would like to appear on a future episode of The Sunday Roast, please email admin@thesundayroast.net.